What's up, experts? So, on this week's episode, this is a kind of a poignant one. We all, on our journey in life, are faced with the challenge of unexpected changes, um, you know, unforeseen loss, grief, hurt, disappointment. Um, and so, how do we navigate that? How do we find a place where we can gather ourselves and find resolve and hope and meaning in moving forward in light of those challenges without discarding the goodness of God, without discarding, God's sovereignty and the plans and the affairs of our life. And so this week's episode is going to be helpful to that end. I look really good, by the way. Um, but this week's episode is one that's kind of near and dear to my heart because we have someone on the show that, by experience and wisdom and time, can provide some really good counsel and insights to help us through the unexpected challenges and, hardships that we may face along the journey of our individual lives. And so this is a good one. You're going to want to stay. Because it's so good, it went longer than we normally record the show for. And so this is going to be a 2-part episode. You're going to want to come back next week for part 2. But this is going to be one to, really take some nuggets and hide in your heart as we navigate this journey of life and we're able to sustain, the highs and the lows of life. And so 2-part episode, definitely lock in. Expert Human Show. Let's get to it.
What's up, humans? Back at it again on your timeline, episode, I think 4, maybe 5. Regardless, I'm back. And I'm back with a special one. You guessed it, it's special because of who I have on the show today. But before we get to that, I just want to take a moment just to say thank you to all of you who have been subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, turning on notifications. I have been responding to some comments on YouTube, so I appreciate all 7 of you guys. But no, just the feedback has been phenomenal. And as the show is growing, please grow with it. Help me to share the word, spread the word about this show, which is just a small contribution to the media and podcast ecosystem. Hopefully one that kind of tips the balance of the scales in a healthy and helpful direction for all those who would, listen and subscribe. So please continue to do that. Like, subscribe, share, turn on notifications. If this has been helpful, tell a friend to follow the podcast and tune in. New episodes drop every single Monday at 10 o'clock, 10-ish. It's 10, but it's like a CPT time 10. But it does drop on Monday. And so with that said, man, also shout out to our sponsor, There's Hope. It's not only a brand, it's a lifestyle. Huge shout out to the people over there. And let's get to it, man. So I got someone really special on the show with me today. I want to read just some of the highlights here from her bio. This individual here is a native of the Ratchet City, Hollywood, Florida. South Florida, if you know, you know. She also serves as the senior pastor of Covenant Builders Ministry in the city, beautiful Orlando, Florida. She used to serve previously alongside her late husband, and founder, Pastor Allen M. Sr. And she's a proud mother of two children, two cool children, I might add. My dog, Allen, and my sis, Patricia Newman. And so Pastor Newman serves as an avid teacher in the body of Christ. I can attest to that. She is anointed by God with the gift of prophecy, a fervent prayer warrior, deliverance minister. Pastor Newman is also devoted to her assignment as a coach and visionary, an entrepreneur, a consultant, a professional speaker, and a consultant in developmental business strategies. She's a minister, training. She is a trainer in ministry who is committed to helping the people of God and all people become excellent in their role in the kingdom of God and enjoy doing it while you're doing it. She's also the founder of Bread of Heaven Ministries, Women of Excellence Ministries, Daughters of Ruth. Pastor Newman is devoted with a commitment to community outreach that extends beyond the four walls of the church. She, in 2010, Pastor Newman organized the First Ladies and Women in Ministries Fellowship in Central Florida, where women are able to come together in a safe place and encourage one another, find strength. In 2016, she wrote The Dream Whisperer, Steps for Success in Ministry. And I could go on, but I'm going to tell y'all, she is also the author of, and you're going to hear me correctly on this, the author of 7 books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. Don't Reject God's Prosperity, Steps for Success. It's a book and a booklet. The 21-day faith journey, building up my confidence, how to manifest my dream. Persistence will unlock your dream. And my personal favorite, the Dream Whisperer Manifestation Journal. And you are going to want to get these books, and you'll see and hear why throughout the course of the show. And then you'll also see the link on the screen where you can go purchase these books. I have a wonderful woman of God, a leader, a visionary, a strategist. To y'all, she is Pastor Martha Newman. To me, she Pastor Mama. And don't nobody else use the name Pastor Mama, Pastor Martha Newman. Thank you so much for being on the show. How you doing?
Great. You are welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, this is fun. I got Pastor Mama. No, this is a real like honor for me. I know I've kind of told you in short order before, but just to kind of give you flowers, if you will, and really maybe to a greater degree kind of unpack just how much of an impression you've made on my life. I want to say it was, fairly recently, maybe as recent as about, what was that, a year ago, 2 years ago, or something along those lines. I was in a real dark place. I was in a real dark place, in my life, you know, due to my own shortcomings and sin. And then subsequently that, as the flesh and the devil does, kind of put you on a hamster wheel of condemnation, shame, disbelief, repeat condemnation, shame, disbelief, and so on. And I was caught in that cycle for a few years, and it was like literally feeling like I was having the life kind of sucked out of me, my joy, my creativity, my hope, my bubbliness, if you will. For a few years, it was just a really bad space in my mind and in my heart. I could walk around and interact and still serve in the church and still be a employee and a husband and a father and all that stuff. But on the inside, I was in like a desert place. And we were at the leadership meeting, leadership training at the church I attend, and you were there facilitating one of the sessions, and I was there for a leadership meeting, nothing more, nothing less. And I can't even really remember now, like how that interaction how it led up to the interaction that took place in the foyer where you really ministered to me and prophesied to me and spoke some words to me. But however it happened, that was a real fork in the road moment for my joy, for my soul, almost for my soul, because the words that you spoke and because I knew it was coming from God, and God telling me what I wouldn't believe on my own. Like God had been trying to tell me, that he loves me and like, yo, get over it. He even told me at one point, yo, stop praying to me about that. Like, that's over with. But I couldn't accept it. And the words that you ministered to me and the love that you ministered to me and the prophetic insight, that was it was akin to, it really was akin to like the prodigal son when he was about to go in on some pig slop, and the Bible says he came to himself. It's like, what am I doing? It was one of those moments where the Lord allowed me, through your voice and your ministry, to really come to myself and be like, why am I tarrying here at the pig pen? And that was a benchmark moment that, you don't know the depth of what that moment signifies in my life, but that was a turning point where I already was forgiven in heaven. It was hard for me to receive it, and heaven, the Lord was telling, forgive yourself. And the words that you spoke into my life, like those were words, like I said, that just took some chains off of my mind and my heart. And my life has, I won't even say been back on track. My life has been on a whole new track. It's been on a whole new track since that day. And so, man, I love you, like, for real, for real. Like, I'll fight about you.
Thank you.
Like, I'll put these hands on somebody about you, for real. Because you're spiritual, but you're real at the same time. And it wasn't just like you talking to me in that moment. It was like, I want to say I felt like for a good month or two after that, like the Lord just had me on your radar, and you would reach out, whether it was through my wife or you would text me or call me. And I was like, okay. And so this is a huge honor for me. And I'm just thankful for you. I really am.
I'm appreciative of you, your openness to be real with the Lord and real with yourself.
Yeah.
And we saw a great transformation
Yeah.
on that day.
Yeah.
And so, and then on last year, was it last year or this year? You did the youth revival.
Last year. And
Yeah. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. God really used you on that night. And the kids at the school still talk about that revival.
Really?
Because they was asking, are they doing it? Because I pick up kids from that area.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to do another revival? I say, I don't know. I haven't heard nothing. We'll just have to wait and see if they're going to do one this year.
Yeah, that's good. That's good pressure. We're going to do another one. That's good pressure. We definitely going to do another one, and my soul wouldn't have been probably in the right place to do it the way that it was done had it not been for what I was referencing before. I'm just, so immensely thankful for the people that God has put in my life. And so with that said, so we're here to talk about a couple of specific things, but I want to like dig into just who Pastor Martha Newman is and who she was. So before we get into like who you are today, you can tell I'm excited. I want to talk a little bit about just kind of your childhood and some of the things that kind of contributed to you being who you are today. I know in your bio it says you grew up in Hollywood, Florida, but tell me a little bit about like what childhood was like for you. What was young Martha like? You know.
I was very active as a little girl. I was a Girl Scout. I was a brownie.
What's a brownie?
The brownie is before the Girl Scout. And you
Okay.
sell cookies and you
Okay.
do you never heard of the brownie?
Nah.
Yes, you a brownie, but then you go to
Is that like the
Girl
girl
Scout.
version of a?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
you're
Okay.
younger. You're younger.
Oh, that's so like a brownie
A
is like the
brownie.
JV and then varsity is a
Yes,
girl. Okay,
yes,
I'd never
yes,
heard that
yes,
before.
yes.
Okay.
And so you have your little brown outfit and you have your sash on brown and you have your numbers on there, the unit you in
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And so I was very active as a little girl. I ran track for the community park. My sister and I did the relay and I did the 400.
The relay
And
is what, the 4x100?
yes,
Okay.
and
So that's
so
like long distance type
right,
of
and I
running.
always was the lead.
Okay.
And so I was a cheerleader in the community, a cheerleader in middle school.
Okay.
And so for flag football, and I played softball up until I graduated from high school in the community. I was the first base person, good at it.
Okay.
And I
You
was
got to have some hands to be on first base.
yes,
That's like the
yes,
first line of defense.
yes,
Okay.
yes, and I was always the number 4 or the 5th batter,
Okay.
and so I was a great batter, and so I was very, and my parents they were just very involved in our
Mm.
lives. And so my mom went to all of our track meets.
Okay.
And so she was the mom that had the cooler with the water, the Kool-Aid,
Okay.
and everything. And so she would be on the bus with us. And so, and during summertime, Hollover Beach was our spot. And so we
Okay.
went to the beach every day.
Really?
And my mother did hot dogs and hamburgers on the grill at Hollover Beach. And so, and then we started the swimming lesson. So I love water. I love water.
You know how to swim?
Yes, I can go
Okay.
to
Because that's
Coco.
a thing. They be
Yes,
trying to say we don't know how to, but you know how to swim.
yes, I
Okay.
know how to
Okay.
swim.
Do you still swim to this day? Like if you
Yes,
see a pool or a body of water, you'll swim to this day.
I go to Coco Beach 9 o'clock in the morning, and I will be out there till 5.
So you're swimming in the beach too? Because I could never
Yes,
feel comfortable enough to like
yes,
swim in.
yes. And
Okay.
I don't go that far out,
Yeah.
but yes. And so I just I love water.
Okay.
I love water. And so the childhood was really great. I love to say my parents was very strict.
Okay.
Very strict, very strict. And so
When you say strict, like because you know how these new age parents they be saying they strict, but they ain't really.
no,
What was strict in your
the
eyes back
strict
then?
to I couldn't go. We call it the Scop Hop dance. We could not go to. We had to be when the sun went down.
Uh-huh.
We had to be in the house.
So even before the street lights came on,
That's
it's the
it.
sun's down.
That's it. That's it. And
Okay.
so if she came to that window
Mm-hmm.
and called your name, even your friends knew.
That's
Oh,
it.
Miss Elnora coming out that door.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My mother was very strict. And so we had Sunday was our family time. My dad, because he was a construction worker, he would take us down on A1 Miami Beach and just give us a glimpse of the high-rising buildings that he was a part of. And we went to the airport, Miami Airport, every Sunday. and to go up on the raft to watch the planes come in.
Really?
And
Your
so
dad would take y'all there to see
that
that?
was our
Okay.
family outing on Sundays after we visit our aunts and cousins. We would always close it out going to Miami Airport. And
Okay.
so when the Dolphins, great Dolphin fan, so that year where they won,
Mm-hmm.
1970. We went to every game. We went whenever the Dolphins came back. We was at the airport
Okay.
with Paul Wallfield, Mercury Morris, and all of them
Okay.
coming through. And so, and bingo was our family game on
Okay.
Sunday, bingo. And so our parents was very instrumental in our life. And so they got in our world because we ate dinner together. Monday through Friday, we ate dinner. So we knew when dad came home that we had to be in the house, wash up. And
Yeah.
so by my parents being from the South Carolina, they believed in that family meal. And so
So you're saying Monday through Friday when your dad came home, y'all sat down and had meals at the table every day of the week?
yes.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
because my dad did not eat pizza. He did not eat hot dogs. He did not eat spaghetti.
Okay.
So my mom had a full
Meal
meal,
cooked. Yeah.
full meal.
I'm telling you, like those traditional family values, like the generation before us, like y'all are built, I think, differently, and y'all have more of a foundation of personhood, like who you are, just kind of based on stuff like that. My wife and I, we try to have that rhythm. We definitely don't sit down 5 days a week. We try one day a week to everybody, get there, turn no phones, no nothing. But that's phenomenal. So your dad worked, your mom was a stay-at-home mom?
My mom was allowed to work because she did domestic work.
Okay.
So when we were in school, so my dad said, "No, I need you home. So if the kids ever need you, they can reach you."
What does your dad do
And
for a
so
living?
construction work. He
Okay.
was a manager. And so he had his site that he oversaw in Miami was his working ground. And so my dad, he was just a family man. And so he wanted to make sure if we missed the bus, that we didn't have to call anybody to come pick us up from school or take us to school, that our mom was there. And so, and then and we always we went to South Carolina 3 times a year. We went on
What part?
Utahville outside.
Utahville.
You heard of Santee?
None of that.
Orangeburg?
None of that. Only place I know is like Charleston.
Okay, it's
I think that's it.
An hour and a half from Charleston.
Utahville.
Yeah,
That sounds like a bunch of dirt roads.
Yes.
And one stoplight in the whole city. Yeah.
No stoplight.
No stoplights?
No stoplight.
Okay.
No stoplight. And so
somebody probably on their front porch still churning butter to this day in Utahville, South Carolina.
Yes. And so that was like when we knew we was going to South Carolina for Christmas, that was a must.
Did y'all drive up there?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that was during the time where 95 was not, it was taking us 16 hours from Hollywood to South Carolina.
95 wasn't constructed yet?
They was always working on 95 since I was a little girl.
Really? That's so crazy because long as I've been living, I-95 been I-95. So to even imagine a time where I-95 didn't exist like it does today.
You used to have to go around the 595 where all the water there.
Okay.
And that's the way you had to go all these dirt roads, and so we would leave home 4 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and we would get to South Carolina like 6 or 7 o'clock that night.
And that's where, like, so you have other extended family up there.
Yes, yes. And so because they had something like what they call farm picnic.
Huh.
And so all the family, because that town is nothing but family.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody that moved away to California, Pittsburgh, New York, because most of them migrated to New York or New Jersey, they all come home in September time for the farm picnic, and it'd be like a huge
Citywide family
yes,
reunion. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
That's cool.
And so that was really great for us. And so we knew that we was gonna have 2 weeks of vacation.
Mm-hmm.
That my dad was gonna drive. I'll have my brother to drive his car to New York because he was not going to drive in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go for 2 weeks every year on a vacation. And so it was just great being a child.
Yeah, yeah. Brothers, sisters?
No brothers. I'm the baby. My sister just transitioned past, be a year this June 12th.
I didn't know that.
And so, yes, and she had a heart attack. Matter of fact, the week of our Women Committed to Win conference.
I had no idea.
And so she passed with a heart attack. And so the amazing thing about that, that I go back and look at generation, my mother had a stroke at age 35. And my mother died with an aneurysm at age 55.
Mm.
And my sister had her first stroke at age 55.
Mm.
And she died at age 66.
Okay.
And so I'm the only sibling.
So it was just you and your sister?
Yes. Yes, yes.
How was y'all relationship growing up as sisters? Did y'all argue?
Yes,
all of that?
yes. And so my mother was always on us because she would always tell us, it's only you two.
Mm-hmm.
It's only you two. And my sister was into jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go into her jewelry and sneak her earrings to wear to school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just doing the baby sister thing.
Yeah.
And so we will always be at it. And so it's amazing how I was her baby sister.
Yeah.
And everybody in the community knew that I was Lee. That was the name we called her real name, Julia. I was Lee's sister. And don't mess with her baby sister because she's coming after you.
What did they call you when you were? What did they call?
Cheryl.
Cheryl?
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl.
Mm-hmm.
Is like your middle name, Shirley?
No.
Where did they get Cheryl from?
Don't ask me. But that was my name because even now, some of my cousin children, like your age, they call me Martha. So the people back home like, Martha who? Her name not Martha, her name Cheryl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they say, oh, her name is Martha. So no, everybody back home that I grew up with, a few called me Martha, but for the most part, they still call me Cheryl.
To this day?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's obvious that your mom and your dad played a big role, in your life as a child growing up. Like, what are some of like your more distinct memories of them, like impressionable moments that happened as a child where you like, I remember when my dad said such and such, it stuck with me in this moment, or my mom did such and such, and like it just made an impression on maybe the way you think or the way you see the world.
My dad, because he was such a workaholic, and because of the way he was raised, and he had to stop school because he was the oldest boy in 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And so the work in the tobacco field and the cotton field. And
This was
so
what, 19?
my father was born 1925.
Okay, so
And
he lived through the Great Depression and
yes,
all of that.
yes.
I mean, he would have been like, what, like adolescent?
90, my father would
Well, no.
be 99 this December.
Okay.
This December, because my
Okay.
mom would have been 90 last month on the 28th.
Okay.
And so the amazing thing was he was always pushing us to be your best, do your best. And so he would say, listen, I'm not prejudiced, just making a comment of my father.
Go for it.
My father would say, you don't want them crackers telling you what to do.
See, this why I got you on the show. This why I got you on the show. It took us 27 minutes to get here, but this why I got you on the show.
He would tell us, you do not want them crackers telling you, and I'm raising you all because me and your mom won't be here, and you need to be able to think for yourself. You need to get your education, and you need to be able to make your way.
There we go.
And so my father was an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And
Is that where you, because you're big on that?
Yeah.
Like, that's like, you kind of exude entrepreneurship. Does that come from him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. My father was an entrepreneur, and he really, his joy was sitting us down because they have quite a bit of land in South Carolina. And he will always tell us, if you don't pay your taxes, you can't claim nothing. So don't think, once I'm off the scene, if you all don't pay your taxes,
They'll come snatch this.
You don't have nothing to claim. But long as I'm alive, you don't have to pay your taxes. But when I close my eyes, just know you have to pay your taxes in South Carolina. Don't let them crackers take that 17 acres of land.
Does your family still own it to this day?
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
There
Yes.
we go.
Yes. And
just the FYI, if you offended by the word crackers, you might be one. Only white people who know they ain't crackers don't care about us using the word crackers. Only crackers are offended by cracker terminology. We love all of our good white brothers and sisters. Crackers, we praying for y'all, but we love our brothers. So anyway, I just want to make that clear.
And so it was just one of those things. He wanted to make sure that we understood, and I never forget, and I tell my children, nobody is going to give you anything.
That's good.
You have to work for what you want and don't look for anybody. And one of his things that I never forget, money does not grow on trees. And so my father, he will have $5,000-$10,000 in his garment bag.
$5 what?
$5,000 or $10,000.
$5,000 or $10,000
in his garment bag.
Back then?
In the bedroom, right?
This is what, like
this is
40s, 50s, 60s? Okay.
In the 60s.
Pops was balling.
And so he would say, and so he have this money, right? And we would say, Dad, can you? He said, no. And we're like,
we know you got it.
Got the money. He said, no, I have spent my budget. And I don't have no money. And we're like, you do have money. And he'll say, money don't grow on trees, because if I get a call over in the night that I need to be in South Carolina, I can't wait till the bank open tomorrow. So that money in there is for emergency. So I can move. Yeah.
So, it's funny too, because I want to say like 3 weeks ago, my boys, my boys don't value money. Because they spoil. They spoil. Everything to them, balling out is going to Five Below and buying a bunch of Pokemon cards and little anime toys and stuff. And so right now, if you tell my boys, hey, I'll give you $100 to do such and such, they'll be like, Like they don't quantify like this $100 means that I can do this, that, and the third. And I was like, yo, man, it dawned on me, like, y'all don't value money because y'all don't gotta work for nothing. We buy y'all pretty much what y'all want within reason. So about a month ago, I told them me and mama, we not taking y'all to Five Below no more. No, we'll take you to Five Below, but we ain't buying y'all nothing from Five Below anymore. Y'all gonna have to earn that money so that then you can buy it for yourself. And so just started kind of like giving them chores so they can earn money and kind of understand the value of a dollar, because similar to your dad, and I'd be thinking like maybe I'm having this conversation with them too early because they're only 9 and 6. But man, mama, I'm telling you, I be trying to deposit and train these boys like I'm not gonna be here tomorrow. Like I'm so intentional about like getting the real world principles, understanding the reality of the world that we live in into them, even at this age, to where like I talk to them like little young men. I don't baby talk them. I don't. Of course, I explain what I'm saying to them because I know they're not going to understand all the words that I'm using. But I intentionally don't use like smaller words to get my point across. If I know I use the word they don't understand, I'll ask them, do you know what that word means? And I'm like, no. And then I'll explain it and then give them the context of what I'm saying. Like kind of similar to like your dad, like trying to really prepare them for the world that I know that they're going to go into and have to exist in. And so understanding money, that money don't grow on trees and that mom and dad not going to be here forever is kind of like where we're at now, and on a small level just related to money. So that's really cool. So I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, but it was really great because, and you're doing great with your boys because my sister and I, we had a savings account at Barnett Bank.
Mm,
At 6, she was 11 every Friday because, see, back in the day, you couldn't be caught in Hollywood after dark unless you get arrested.
crackers.
And so, yeah, and so there was only a few black people at that time banked at Barnett Bank.
Okay.
And so, because my dad used to order his cars from Detroit.
His automobiles?
Mhm.
Okay.
And so he did it through Barnett Bank. And even though they had an account in the black community at Hollywood Home Federal Bank,
Mm-hmm.
but when he was doing major business, when they built vacational home in South Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
that's where he did his business at Barnett Bank.
Okay.
Dominant White, and so those Taylor, they knew us.
Mm-hmm.
They say that go the Davis girls. Every
Mm-hmm.
Friday,
Mm-hmm.
we went to the bank and we filled out our deposit slip
As kids.
as kids.
Yeah.
And we gave it to them and our money, And
Yeah.
so it was during that time where he was training and teaching us, and we would see him make exchange, because it was on Mondays my mom would go and pay bills, and so we knew that money would be on their dresser, and we knew we gonna be gone most of the day, and so we would always go to Sears and get the cashews, peanuts,
Okay.
and so that was, and then I can't think of the pizza place in the mall. We would go there for our pizza, and then Woolworth, they had their own little restaurant at that time, and we would eat lunch there. So they was showing us how to you have to prepare.
Yeah.
And so we always knew that even if you want something, you plan.
Mm-hmm.
So my father, he was very strategic. He didn't just spend.
Mm-hmm.
And so he spent on purpose.
Yeah.
And so my mom was the person that, because my dad couldn't read. So she was
He was able to accomplish all this and he wasn't able to read?
My dad could make a penny cry.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
He was that tight.
I got you.
That penny can talk back to you.
I will
So
find a way to use that at some
yes,
point in my life.
yes.
Make a penny
So
cry.
my father, if he had the education,
Would have been
he
out of
would
here.
be the best CPA anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
That man knew how to handle money.
Hmm.
So he was our math teacher, and our mother was our English teacher.
Talk to me a little bit about your mom, because for your dad to be who he was, entrepreneurial, outside of the house, bringing resources home, educating you all, just kind of being that rock, in the family. y- I know this from experience. I tell my wife all the time, like, don't none of this work without you. It don't. It's only one name that matter in this house. It ain't Joshua. It ain't Stephanie. It's Matthews. And so, regardless of what I'm able to do or accomplish or whatever, I can only do that because you are in my corner. You give me life. You give me strength. You manage the house. You manage me sometimes. You manage the kids. Like all those things. And so, for your dad to be this kind of person, I know that your mom had to be kind of like a backbone to him. Like, tell me a little bit about your mom and just kind of her influence on you.
Mom was just very articulate. She was the person that she was harder than dad.
Yeah,
She
because
was,
when you mentioned
yeah,
the street, the
she was harder
you
than
said
dad.
mom was gonna come out there.
She
Okay.
was harder than dad. Dad was very quiet. Uh, he's he didn't really have to do a whole lot of talking, but when he did, everybody knew it. But mom was gonna talk for both of them.
Mm.
She was gonna talk for him, and so, matter of fact, mom did all the discipline. She
Okay.
did all the discipline. And so, mom was a great baker,
Okay.
a great baker. And so, her theme was coconut pie.
Coconut pie.
Yes, coconut
Okay.
pie. So when she bake a coconut pie, she had to do by 7 because the community. And
Did she would give them away or they would buy them?
she would give it away.
Huh.
And so she was a great. I have her personality. She was very hospitable.
Mm-hmm.
She was. She met no stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And she was always feeding those that was hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So you can come by our house any time of night.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna get some food.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get some food.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was the person for us that she showed us how to treat everybody the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that whatever we had, share it.
Okay.
And so she was big on that. She was big on that. And by her her mother died as such, she was 11 or 12 when her mother died.
Okay.
And so, she wasn't so fond of stepmoms.
Okay, because did her dad get remarried?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. And so her thing was because even when my mother died, right? And so it was like about 2-3 years, my dad started seeing a lady from the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my sister and her kids had a problem with it, but I was in North Carolina. And so I didn't have a problem with it, right? And so he called me and he said these words. He said, I'm seeing a lady at the church, but one thing you can rest and assure, I am not marrying anybody. Me and your mom talked about this years ago. Your mom has had a problem with stepmoms because how she was raised. And so he said this lady I'm seeing have 5 fools and I have 2.
Fools. And so he didn't remarry
No,
just to
he
keep
did.
the promise to your mom.
And he did not remarry. And so my dad was very much into his uh grands.
Grandkids. Okay.
He was very
Yeah.
much into, because he was, when I was in California, he sent for Alan and Patricia every summer.
Okay.
And so he wouldn't pay for my way. My husband had paid for mine, but he
You
sent for
grown.
them.
Yeah.
So you sounded like
You
him. You
grown.
sound like him. And so he will always send for them for the summer.
Okay.
And so I would bring them to Florida. And so he would take them to Disney. We all would go to Disney when I come back to pick them up. And he would say,
Very cool.
I'm not paying for y'all room, but I got my grands.
That's funny.
And
That's
he
funny.
was really in. So he always, and his dream was to always, my dad was working at 76,
Mm-hmm.
still doing construction work. And he
Wow.
said, I'm working for my grands because y'all don't know how to raise children.
Wow. How old were y'all when he made that statement?
Well, I was good and married. Dad was 76. I was in my 30s.
Interesting.
I was in my 30s.
Interesting.
And so he was a workaholic.
Uh-huh.
Even when he started having a challenge with Alzheimer's, he would still get up saying he has to go to work. And so it was just so funny, because it took him back to his childhood, and he'll be like, see all that cotton? I gotta go get that cotton because y'all need some money. Y'all don't know how to raise those children,
That's interesting.
So it was just amazing. But my mom balanced him. My mom really balanced him, because this a funny side of my dad, right? We laugh, we say, I think Daddy had some ADHD.
Even before ADHD was a thing, right?
Because my dad did not sleep.
Hmm.
My dad would get up 3 o'clock in the morning and turn on all the lights in the house. And he saved coins. He would count those same coins when he come home from work. And he would get up over in the night
and count them again.
And not only that, he come and wake you up and want to give you a lesson about life.
I ain't gonna lie, your dad sound very reasonable, logical, and sane to me. Because my wife would tell you, she was like, baby, you just can't be talking to the boys all day. No, they need to know. They need to know what escrow is at 9 years old. They got to know what a credit score is. They got to know all of that. And so, yeah, that's very, very, I can relate to that.
Yes.
I can relate to that.
And my mom was our defense. She would be like, Jim, those children have to go to school in the morning. Get out of those children's rooms.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was always thinking for the next move. He was always thinking, and he would always tell her, you have to be a thinker. You have to be a thinker.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Okay, so because we got a lot I want to get to. This has been really good. Let's take a quick break. Let's throw it to our There's Hope segment. Y'all stay tuned. We're going to come right back with Pastor Martha Newman.
What's happening, my expert human family? It's your There's Hope segment of the week. It's so good to see y'all again. We still here. We still striving. All right. So this week, what I want you to do is to guard your momentum. We all have goals, right? From money goals to fitness goals to starting that business, going back to school, finishing things up, whatever it is, we all have goals. We're all journeying towards something. But along the way, what we have to do in order to keep that pace, in order to keep that momentum, we have to guard it. Anything, person, place, a thing that will get in the way of that momentum of forward progress, we got to stay away from, we got to guard it. If it's spiritual, we got to make sure we're prayed up, that we're in his word. If it's practical, hey, let's get some people that can hold us accountable so that we can guard ourselves from falling into that pitfall. But again, if we fall, and when we fall, because at some point or another we do, got to get back up, get back on pace, get back on journey, and guard that momentum because we're all going somewhere, whether it's intentional or not. But I know with my expert human family, we're being educated, we're being enlightened, and we're being empowered so that we can be the best versions of ourselves. And I want you to know no matter where you find yourself right now, always know this: there's hope. See y'all.
All right, welcome back, y'all. Listen, I some of the things that Pastor Mama is just sharing with me, even off camera, is blessing me. Hopefully, we can find a way to squeeze that into the conversation. But thank you, Richard, at There's Hope, for that segment. Always wonderful. And so I know we were talking about just your childhood, your upbringing, your mom, your dad. What was your dad saying? What did you say? He can make a penny cry.
Yes.
That's gonna stick with me.
Yes.
I need to be more like that. My pennies be smiling. Like, I need you crying. I need you crying, bro. Stop smiling. I want to like jump a little bit because it's not going to be able to like get your whole life, but I want to maybe like hit some of the high points. I know that you shared with me at one point you were in the military. What branch of the service? And thank you for your service, first of all. What branch of the military did you serve in?
Army.
The Army. Okay. So, okay, I'm kind of getting a picture of you now because I didn't know about your childhood. So, like, you playing softball, you first base. First base people normally be the ones, they be like, they got like that grit in them. You in the Army, to me, that feels like the grittier of the branches of service that we have. So, you kind of striking me as like a tough girl for real. Because the Pastor Mama I know today, you're very, yes, praise God, bless you. Soft and warm, but you really like you a thug on the inside. Yeah, I knew it was. I knew the spirit recognized something. I was like, oh, there's something about you. I rock with that. So you were in the Army. How many years did you serve?
13 years.
I did not know it was that long. 13 years.
13 years.
What was like, okay, when did you join? Was it like right out of school? And what was the whole even reasoning for you getting into the military?
The real truth of the
Yeah,
matter.
give me that raw.
I was such a, like you said, thuggish girl. My life did a flip in my high school years. And so skipping school, just rebellious. And so my 12th grade year, I had to go to school from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. to graduate. And if I would have failed one class.
Hold on, you said 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.? Golly. You must say never go to school.
So I had to go, I had to be at Dillard High for a vocational class at 7 to 9:45. Then I had to catch the bus to take me back to Hollywood to MacArthur, my home high school, and I was there to 3.
Okay.
And then I went home and I had to be back at night school from 6 to 9.
That's crazy.
And so
I wouldn't have made it.
But see,
I wouldn't have made it.
My mother. And so I had taken them through so much because my mom was big on education. And my dad, I said earlier, workaholic.
Right.
He said, I'm not putting no money in college. The best thing she can do, get a job. And my mom said, I want her to go to college. So I went and enrolled at Miami-Dade Community College, and I met this young lady from New York. And so she was in National Guard. She was going to Florida Memorial College. And so she said, join National Guard is only 1 weekend out of the month and whatever. So I did that, and I met her because we was dating two African friends, right? And
African meaning like from the country of
yes,
Africa.
so that's gonna lead why how I end up in the military. And
Okay.
so,
Okay. Okay.
and so I joined the National Guard, and so I was head over heels over this guy, and he had just took my heart. He
Dang
uh,
Africans.
just had me in a frenzy, and
Mm-hmm.
so my mom was frustrated because I looked like I was a drug addict. Because my heart was so broken
Oh, okay, okay,
and
okay.
my mind. And
I
so
got you. I got you.
my mother and my father got involved. And so my mom said, "We did not raise you to turn out like this. I don't know what you're going to do."
How old were you? When
At
this,
this time, I was 19.
hmm.
And
Okay.
so I didn't know what to do. And so I went off to basic in the National Guards in Alabama. And I ended up getting a discharge because of my knee.
Okay.
And so I had to go. They put me out and said they could not believe they let me in
To begin with.
with my knee like that.
Okay.
And so thank God the job I was working, they paid for the surgery. And so I went back 6 months later to go regular Army. And because I needed to get away.
Okay.
And so that's how I ended up in the military.
Okay. I mean, just it sounds like you said, you just want to get away, you want to kind of
Yes.
hit reset, get a fresh
Yes.
start on things,
Yes.
and you were still pretty young.
Yes.
So like, man, I don't know if I should. So one of the things that I had Pastor Jeremy on the show last week, and I was telling him what I realized is this show is a little bit of a cheat code for me because I get to sit down and talk to people and ask them questions that really benefit me. It's like, and so you said something that kind of prompted a question. I won't go too deep into
Right.
it, but like, how did your parents manage you during that season? Do you recall like how they managed you during that season where you were just off kilter and not being who they raised you to be, expected you to be?
My father was very hurt. My mother too, because it was like I was not hearing them because this boy had taken my everything. He had taken my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, I was getting up 2 o'clock in the morning, heading down County Line Road to Miami to Florida Memorial College. And I mean, I was out of control.
Okay.
I was just out of control because this is what I want. And even though he had did me wrong, I mean, just did me wrong, and told me in my face, ladies, I don't want you.
Talk to him.
And I'm still running behind him. And and he used me. He called me when he wanted me over in the night.
Talk to him.
And so it was just my parents was distraught.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had my sister to talk to me, and she was like, "What is wrong with you? We wasn't raised like this. What happened to you?" And I said to her, "I love him." And so my sister, like I said, she was going to Miami to find him.
Shoot, I'm about to go to Miami and find him, right?
And so,
Anyway,
so what ends up happening, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I'm already dark. I looked at blue black. And I was skinny. I had lost so much weight. And so I said, I'm going back.
You gotta
I'm
get
going
up out of here.
I got to go. I got to go. And so my mom didn't approve of it. She did not want me to go. My dad said, go. Go. And so I went to the Army.
So you enlist in the Army. Would they ship you off somewhere, or do you stay stateside for a while?
I went to basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Okay.
I did my administrative training after my basic training there for a month, and then I was shipped to Handoff, Germany.
Okay, because that's the part that that's the part that I knew in terms of like you being in Germany. I still didn't know you had served for 13 years, which is crazy. So you're so now you're in Germany, different country, probably feels like a whole different planet over there. Like, what was some of your first like impressions of like, okay, I'm a young adult, I'm out on my own, I'm not even in the country that I was born in. Like, what were some of the things that maybe challenged you or just opened up your eyes, with just being able to get out of the country and out of the bubble that you were living in at the time?
I think for me, because I had already experienced some things before I went in the military and life, because actually I was 20 when I went in the military. So now I'm looking at 18-year-olds. They never been to the club. They just glad to be
You the
home.
OG. You the OG now. Girl, you ain't even doing it right. You ain't even doing it. You see, I named what it was. You just say, we gonna keep it holy. We ain't gonna talk. We gonna name it, but you ain't doing it right, girl. Because
And so I was really I was really reserved.
I got you.
I was really reserved because at this point I had started dating another guy, older guy that I said I'm going to marry. And so I was just at that point trying to serve so I can get back to the stateside. And so in that interim, that's where I met my husband.
So let's talk about that. Because that kind of gets us to the part of the conversation and I think will maybe be most helpful and insightful. So your husband, Alan Sr., you met him in the military. He was he was stationed in Germany with you?
He came after me there.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, my interactions with Pastor Alan Sr., he gave me the impression that, before Christ, he could have had a couple of them out there. He could have been pimping. You feel? He gave me pimp energy. And so I can just imagine him being like real smooth with like a pickup line of y'all in a bar or something like that. Like, tell me about like y'all first interactions. Did he approach you? You approach him? Like, what was that like?
He came in, I was on CQ. And so him and I think the guy named Floyd, they had just came in from from Frankfurt, Germany.
Okay.
And so I was on CQ, it's a small base. And so they came to use the phone to call back the stateside. And I was sitting there, and so he asked me my name. He asked me how long I've been there. And so I didn't find out till later he had told this guy, I'm going to get that chocolate girl. And so I'm not, because I know he's a gunner, he's going to one of the detachment. I'm working at headquarters.
Gunner meaning like he's
a gunner. He break down guns, put guns together.
Okay.
And so I didn't see him anymore. And so when I got off duty that morning, they had already sent him to his detachment. And so the guy that he came in with, he was working at headquarters in S1. And so he said, remember Sergeant Newman, he wants to talk to you. I only have a year left and I'm going back to the stateside. So make the long story short, in that interim, my grandmother died. And so I came back to the stateside for the funeral. And he was getting ready to go to BNOT school.
Okay.
And so in Kaiserslautern, Germany. And so when
Okay.
I got back, his friend had a note for me. And he said, I really like you. Uh, I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother. And so when I come back from school, I would like to go out for
Mm.
dinner.
Mm.
And so,
Smooth with
you
it.
know,
Smooth
so
with it.
sure enough, he came back. And so we was getting preparing for our colonel to come up to do our inspection,
Mm.
TA. So I was working on my TA 50. So he came up the stairs. And so my friend from Miami, she said, that sergeant don't like you. And so I just kept doing. So he came up and so
That's so funny.
he's asked how I was doing, and I said okay, and we chatted a little bit, and so we went to my room, and so he was saying, "Let me just introduce who I am,"
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "I'm just gonna cut through. I would like to date you,"
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like. Mm. So that next day he came back up. We went for dinner, and then everything else was history. And so he was the dope man.
Meaning,
He was selling drugs.
okay, because I
He
know what
he
dope
was
man mean to me. I want to make sure I understand what
he
dope
was
man mean.
selling hash.
Okay, okay.
And
On the
so
base.
oh yes,
See, I
yes,
knew that's
yes,
why.
yes,
Oh
yes,
my
yes.
God.
That was before the military really cracked down on drugs. And so my girlfriend, she said, since he like you date him and we don't have to
Get the
buy
discount.
hash anymore.
That's funny.
So we started dating, and he was everything to me that I imagined as a young girl. He was, when I tell you, he was loving, he was kind, he was he was just everything to
Mm.
me. And
Mhm.
so I was a smoker and he wasn't. So he took the ashtrays out of his car so I couldn't smoke in his car.
Cigarettes, weed. Okay.
Cigarettes.
What? Okay,
And
hash.
so
What?
hash is it's like in blocks.
Is it like
And so
tobacco?
it looked like that, but no, it's and you crumble it up, and some people smoke it with a
In
pipe,
a pipe?
or
Oh,
you can
okay.
use a
Like them
can
old
and you can
tobacco
put
pipes?
yep, or you can we used to do it with a Coke can and use our ray and put holes in the can and
Huh.
crumble it up and put that fire to it and smoke it through
Oh
the
Lord.
can.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord, Pastor. We gonna move on from that.
Yes, and so
Move your mic up just a
yeah,
little bit. You funny.
so it was and so that's how I met him. He was very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did not know he had already, because it was a small post, he had already went through the post asking people, guys about me. And they was telling him, sorry, she ain't gonna do nothing. She ain't gonna give you nothing. She ain't gonna do nothing. She ain't gonna do nothing. All she want is 50 cents to go to the club to play Pac-Man.
Oh, okay.
And that was
Okay.
my time waste to be in the club playing Pac-Man.
Okay.
And so when he came along and we started seeing, little did I know, God just so good. I'm going with him making drops, not knowing that's what he doing. Because
Okay.
when you saw him on, he was very
Unassuming. Right.
right, and he did not. He was very reserved. He was to himself,
Mm-hmm.
and so we always laughed at him because when he had that bag scrap across his shoulder, you knew his chest. You knew, okay, he got some hash up in there,
Yeah, yeah.
And so we became very close. We would catch the train, and I would go with him to his old station, and he was going over the border to pick up his drops his thing, and I'd be at people's house I don't even know,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for him to come. And so and that's how we met. And so he didn't re-enlist.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had told me that I'm not going to re-enlist. I'm getting out, because how he ended up in the military, his heart was broken. He was on a 4-year scholarship, and he went to Fayetteville State. And so his dream was to silver and gray the Raiders. And so
Okay.
the scouts was looking at him.
Uh-huh.
And so he popped his hamstring in his leg. And he said he did not want to go to Virginia. And he said, I should have went to a white school and not a black school, because they didn't have the equipment.
To rehab
Yes,
him and
yes.
okay.
And
Okay.
so his heart was shattered, because he just knew, because scouts was looking at him in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew he was going to the pros, and after that didn't happen. So he got out of the military, and so I didn't think I was going to hear from him.
So he didn't do 13 years.
No, he did 7 years.
Okay.
And so I didn't think I was going to hear from him anymore. And so sure enough, I gave him my number, because he left a month before me. So I said, when I leave, I'm going by New York to visit an aunt. So I'll give you the number and you can call me there. And so I was delayed by 2 weeks. And so when I got there, my aunt said, some Alan Newman keep calling here saying you supposed to be here. And I say, what? So when I called him back, he said, yeah. He said, I know you thought you would never hear from me. And I told you, I'm coming for you. You're going to be my wife. So from there, I went to Boston, Massachusetts. And so he came from Colorado on Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got married. And so
How did he propose?
It wasn't no proposal, because my parents didn't know I was getting married. I got married in my Army uniform on a Friday morning, Justice of the Peace.
Was it spontaneous in the moment? Was it like, oh, let's just get married today?
Yeah, because
okay.
he needed somewhere to stay. He was staying at the guest house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not shacking. My mama not killing me. I'm not shacking. So he said, well, let's get married. And so
So we ain't got married.
we went and got married. We went K-Jewelry. We went to K-Jewelry, got
That's the same ring?
the same ring.
Wow.
The same ring.
That's a big one by today's standards. You imagining back then.
No, this the ring.
Oh, okay. That's the ring. Okay, I'm looking. Okay, that's the.
this the
I
ring.
got you. I
And
was going to say.
that was the
Pastor
ring.
was pushing that hash, boy. That's that hash money right there.
so-
You find out he Avon Barksdale out here.
So we went and got married that Friday morning. And so, and that's where the journey started.
How long were you both married for?
We would have been married for 38 years. He died October 7th. We would have been married 38 years that following Wednesday.
The following Wednesday after he passed. Wow. Were you both believers at the time when y'all got married?
No.
How did, like, in terms of you both coming to Christ, whether together or individually? What was that story behind that?
From Boston, Massachusetts, because we got married and I became pregnant immediately. And then I realized I didn't want him.
Who?
My husband. I didn't want him. He wasn't my dream husband. He was not my dream husband. I did not want him.
How did you come to that? How did you come to that conclusion?
Because I told him.
After being married.
I told
after.
him because I'm not high anymore. I'm not high anymore. I'm not drinking your expensive medicine no more.
Wow.
So you are not who I want.
You said that?
Yes. And so what ends up happening now, I'm pregnant.
What did he say?
He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything to me.
That would have crushed me.
He didn't say anything to me. And so
But that's how you felt.
yes, that's how because I felt my world, this is not the life that I imagined I would have.
Hmm.
And because, see, when we was dating, we was just having fun. We was having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm pregnant. Now I'm
Real
getting ready
life.
to be a mother.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is not what I wanted, you know. And
Okay.
and so now, that first year of marriage, it was Hades.
For you, for him, for both.
For both of us.
Okay.
It was Hades. Because remember now, we're still sinners.
Mm-hmm.
He in the fast lane. He doing drugs. He doing snorting.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so he always tell the story that he's grateful God saved him because he knew he would have tried crack.
No, my, yeah. I mean, listen. I mean, it's funny, right? But I get that sentiment because I know without Christ, like I would be a completely more self-destructive person. So I get that 100%.
And so it was like, I mean, my parents was involved now because now I don't want you, and now I have a baby, and my mom came out for 2 weeks, and so she said, if you all don't get God,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get God in your life, you're not gonna make it. And so we went to Sears. He got him a suit. We went to church, and I'm like, I said, okay, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna re-enlist, and I'm taking you back where I met you, to Germany. So I re-enlist to go back to Germany.
To take him back, to hopefully get back whatever.
No, to divorce.
Oh.
To divorce.
Okay.
And so when we went to Germany, and so my parents had Alan, and the girl that we both knew, she had given her life to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you married Sergeant Newman? I said, yeah, but I came back to get a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, do y'all have any children? I said, yep, a son. And he's 10 months old. And she said, Martha, whatever you do, y'all need God for your son. Y'all need God. I was not hearing her.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, when I get off, I'm going to come to the guest house to visit with you all. So she came. We talked old times and whatever. And so when I walked her out, she said, I'm serious. I don't drink no more. I don't smoke no more. I don't get high no more. I don't club no more.
Mm-hmm.
You need God. If it's not for you, for your son.
Mm-hmm.
So went for about 6 or 7 months, and I called her up. At this time, Alan, he had came to Germany. Newman came back to the States to get him. So I told her, I said, I'm fed up. I don't know what to do. He don't have a job. I'm supplying him with drugs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to class 6, buying his liquor.
Mm-hmm.
He don't have no job. I don't want him.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, come go to church with me on Sunday. I said, what do I have to lose? But this was the kicker. She said, I'm saved, right? I'm like, I'm saved. Because every time I go home, I got to go to church. And I grew up in church. I was on the choir. I was on the usher. I'm saved.
I'm saved by association.
Yeah. I'm saved, right? And she said, no, Martha, I'm really saved. And I'm listening to her like, I'm saved. So I went to church with her. And when I tell you, Pastor Fisher preached like he was in my house. And I went up not to get saved, for him to get a job. And so the preacher said,
You went up for prayer.
for him to get a job.
Oh
and I
my
didn't say.
God.
So the preacher said, you don't want to accept the Lord as your
He
personal
was like,
Savior?
nah, but
I
he
said,
do. He do.
I said, no, I just want my husband to have a job. And so he kept in. So I said, okay. So when I went home that day, I smoked some hash. I drank a German beer. I didn't tell him I accepted the Lord as my personal Savior.
You're crazy.
That person say. So Flood is calling me now every day. And so now she's getting ready to be transferred to Frankfurt, Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And I started talking to this other lady, right, that was going to church, but she wasn't committed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like 2 weeks later, we went to church, and right before the word, she said she was ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got home, I was upset. And so Numa said, what is wrong with you? I said, we didn't even hear the preacher. She was ready to go. And so he said, you will never go to church again by yourself. So that Friday night, we went to church and Minister Bonds preached Dry Bones. And in Pentecost. So see, he was Baptist, I was Methodist. And so here we are in Pentecostal Church, Church of God in Christ. On Friday night is evangelistic
In
night
Germany.
in Germany. And now they running around and we're the only two left in the pew looking.
Right.
And everybody running around, And so didn't nobody say anything to us. So that Sunday we went back. And so I'm holding Alan.
Mm-hmm.
So when the appeal for salvation, I didn't realize when he went to the altar, he raised both of his hands, right? And so people in the military that knew me, I was wondering why they were staring at me, but I couldn't see because we were sitting in the back, what was going on the altar.
Okay.
He accepted the Lord. And so the usher told me, she said, I knew Friday night he was ready. I knew Friday night. So he accepted the Lord, and that's when our life changed.